The answer lies in understanding that your ideological opposition is just as frightened, anxious and lonely as you are. Incels, neckbeards, or nice guys, what helped you to get rid of your worldview? It's not something that just changes one day. It's all just beliefs and actions that really aren't the right things to be thinking or acting. How to avoid. Even that super cute person you like as a person. All those thoughts you have in your head? They have them too. Their own conscious, their own ideas, their own beliefs. They're not just a thing for you to like, they're a complete person. If you want someone to like you, you have to be someone they would want to like. You can't get mad at someone for not liking you, or not responding the way you want. Sure, you can get mad if they're actually rude to you, but that's not very often. And usually the only time someone would be rude is because you're continually pestering and annoying them. Imagine if someone you found unattractive was always talking to you, always doing stuff for you. Is there any nice thing they could do for you that would all of a sudden make you attracted to them? It's a bit weird, but in my late teens, I'm 30 now, I started playing female characters in MMOs, firstly just as a joke, but as time went on and I started making friends, it became more and more difficult to tell people the truth. I soon found myself on the receiving end of the exact same attention and behaviors I was exhibiting myself in the presence of girls. It was like looking in a mirror for the first time. Every word and action seemed to be meticulously thought out as if to be as inoffensive as possible while subtly trying to passive-aggressively build a relationship as if I didn't see right through them. I wondered if it might be as obvious for actual women. I've never been the confrontational type, so I tried to let them all down as gently as possible, an approach that proved completely ineffective. I was worried that if I told them the truth it would destroy them, and I didn't want to be nasty either. Continuously I found myself getting backed into corners like that. I honestly had no idea that's what I was doing. I was cringy as all get out in early high school, 10 years ago for me, and I am super thankful that my space went south, so most of my cringy nice guy posts are no longer accessible. What helped me was I was involved in some hobbies that made me a lot of older friends. One of them, about 10 years my senior, sat me down and straight up told me life was never going to get better until I changed how I was doing things. He didn't tell me to stop liking Lord of the Rings or video games, but rethink how I express that to other people, whether I am trying to exclude people with my interests or include people. Whether I am really being kind to everyone around me or just a nice guy to women I wanted to date. That advice couldn't come from a peer, because I hated my peer group, and couldn't come from my parents, who didn't know how deep the cringe went, but could have only come from a respected mentor. I've said this before, Reddit changed my attitude on if I was the nice guy or a butthole with this simple phrase. Women are not sex machines where you insert niceness tokens into. Sometimes the girl just isn't into you and that is her right. You can't force attraction. From a pure physical attraction standpoint, I call it the hot celebrity problem. A ton of people can look at a celebrity and think they're hot. There's still going to be at least one person looking at them being like, hey, not my type. It's not the celebrity's fault. It's not the uninterested person's fault. There is no one to blame. It's just a fact of life that not everything is attracted to everyone else. As much as we all like to believe we're special, we're not that special to win over anyone and everyone if we want to. I think that my failed relationship with one of my first loves made me understand that I had problems in that area. I couldn't make a move because I was afraid of rejection or afraid to hurt her, which just ended up wasting both of our times. This was a huge turning point for me. My first girlfriend, we both lost our virginity to each other, developed a huge crush on a bad boy in one of her classes. I was seething with jealousy and didn't understand how she was choosing him over a nice guy like me. She eventually ended up leaving me for him, then he rejected her, but that's beside the point. I went through a very cynical period towards women, quoting nice guys finish last garbage to my friends, thankfully didn't put anything on social media. I vowed to treat women like a bad boy by being more aloof and less caring. Funnily enough it worked and I got another girlfriend soon after and started to realize it wasn't being a bad boy, it was just treating her like a regular human. Putting women on a pedestal had made me think I had to treat them like princesses when in reality they want to be treated like regular people. The trick is to realize that women are pretty much the same as men. You know when some dude rolls up trying to act friendly, and you can tell he's trying to get something out of you? Just don't be that guy. Nobody likes him, and women have to talk to him a lot more often than you do. If you actually have something to offer, even if it's just a dumb anecdote, people will be more inclined to let you hang out with them. Once you make actual real deal friends with a couple women, it gets so much simpler. I realized that not everything was about me. When you're this neckbeard nice guy, it's really just a veil of desperation and cynicism. Everything you do is selfish and disingenuous. I was so nice to her. Why won't she sleep with me? God. She always goes for the jerk-off guys. Catch a neckbeard when they're upset. You'll find that, very often, it's not about anyone else but them. They were so nice. They were hurt. They got the poop end of the stick. Then it shifts to blaming. She doesn't like what's good for her. She is a user for abusing your kindness. She should be so lucky. Because clearly, only you know how to treat a woman right. It's disgusting and cringy. Former nice girl here. I never understood why guys didn't like such a fun and non-slutty me while complaining in the same breath how all men are misogynistic pigs. My form of showing interest was subtle stalking, dropping hints and general awkwardness. Also I picked guys who were very attractive and confident, which intimidated me to the point where I couldn't have a normal conversation with them. In high school I pretty much dedicated all my time daydreaming about a boy who had no idea I existed, and in college I chose the aggressive route of awkwardly flirting with him in public and refusing eye contact. I cannot think back without cringing. The funny thing, both the boys ended up dating pretty normal-looking girls. I had put them on such a pedestal that with one breath I was implying how undeserving I was of their attentions while complaining how nice and good girls like me don't get the guys. I think ultimately growing up and seeing all my closest girlfriends settle into nice, stable relationships is what changed me. How could I expect to be in a healthy relationship when I couldn't value the gender I was supposed to be in a relationship with? So I grew up, started listening to others' opinions, started valuing myself more, and took some time off to be myself rather than to be what somebody else wanted. For me, it was really about learning the distinction between being nice and being good. A good person is not nice, a nice person is not good. A good person goes after what they want in a way that respects others' decision-making processes. A good person finds someone who wants the same thing they want so that both will be made happier. A nice person gives another what they want without negotiation for their own needs. They think, I met your needs, and now you have to meet mine. They see other people as owing them for their niceness. A nice person fundamentally misunderstands reciprocity. Yes, a good person will return a favor, but that does not mean you get to choose the favor. Doing something for someone else only to get what you want is manipulative and bad. A good person does not depend upon reciprocity to get what they want. They are reciprocal because it is the right thing to do. They get what they want by stating it clearly and confidently and finding someone who wants the same. Women are people, and I think a big part of me didn't realize that up until 10th or 11th grade. I just considered them to be a checklist of traits, but then lamented that they had their own checklists too. I tried to mold my personality into this fake checklist that I hated them for having. What I hadn't realized is that girls that I wasn't trying to date were attracted to me. I was more confident around them and my personality was more genuine. Coincidentally, once I started dating them and gave up on the nice guy act, some of the dateable girls from my school began showing interest as well. As cliché as it sounds, the single best thing you can do is to be yourself. If you find somebody who you want to date and who likes you for you, great. If you find somebody who wants to date a fake version of you, you'll resent yourself and you'll eventually resent them. I decided to look at the other side of the argument as if they were people with thoughts and feelings, browsed Tumblr for a while and I kinda just felt bad, you know? After that I swung hard the other way, and then back again. This repeated a few times until I settled where I am now. These ideological swings while I was finding myself helped to ruin the only relationship I ever had, don't ask, still kind of a sore subject for me a couple years on, and yeah. In my depressed haze after that relationship broke down, I realized that neither the Neckbeards nor the hardline SJWs were correct, though both groups had started with good intentions. I wouldn't suggest going through a breakup and near suicidal depression, because while I found the answer there, it wasn't worth the heartache, even though I'm grateful to have grown as a person because of it. The real answer is compassion. Not self-aggrandizing crocodile tears, not woe is me wailing, not thinking of your ideological opponent as anything less than human. The answer lies in understanding that your ideological opposition is just as frightened, anxious and lonely as you are. Or even if they're not, they're still human with thoughts, feelings and insecurities. It's like that realization some Redditors helped me come to when it came to real dolls, body pillows and dating sims. It's not so much that people are objectifying women, As the SJWs claim, they're anthropomorphizing objects, because they're lonely enough that they need to do that just for something that approximates human interaction. The same thing goes for SJW echo chambers, they're often lonely kids who need some kind of social interaction and lash out in a bad way. Now, as I said, I haven't been in a relationship since I was trying to find myself, but that's because I'm not a social beast, and I don't really feel entitled to being in a relationship, and currently I'm not really that bothered either way. I have online friends who I talk to a lot, and that's my social interaction right there. But imagine for a moment you're talking to someone and spewing bitter, spiteful BS while reeking of month-old BO. Can you blame them for not being attracted to you? Take care of yourself, try to look at people as human beings, regardless of their gender. Don't expect sex, don't expect love, don't go into a conversation trying to find either. Many relationships start with friendships. The friend zone isn't a bad place to be, because friendship isn't a bad thing. Bitterness will get you nowhere at the speed of light. I was never a neckbeard dude. But I did grow up isolated due to family life up north. I grew up with a bunch of older fishermen who hated my guts. I learned to socialize through violence and hardship. No feelings. Just raw labor and a real dark and nihilistic view of life. In some ways it was similar to the whole neckbeard thing. In another way my life was totally opposite to the whole nice guy culture, because I was never immersed into the TV pop culture to be able to hate it. All I had was a fuzzy CBC and a radio. Despite my lack of grammar skills, I was apparently smart enough to be employed by the government. My social skills had to improve to maintain the job, or it was back to being a fisherman for me. So I became just another dude at work. I tell others stories once in a while about how we would beat the hell out of the DFOs here and there, but they find my stories hard to believe or too savage for their taste, and we regularly go into war zones for work-related stuff, by the way. So my past is kept to myself. Violence throughout my life made me cold. But then I got married and had a baby girl. Don't ask me how. I haven't figured that one yet. So now I was forced by myself to be caring and considerate of others, and truly had to learn to be pleasant among others. See, before I had a family, in the back of my head I said to myself that I could always go back fishing up north. But there was no way in hell was I going to bring my family up there. So a pleasant man I became so I could keep my government job to be able to give my little girl a better life than I had. And that's what brought me out of that dark place where everyone and everything sucked. I did it for my baby girl. I guess I was a nice guy. I treated girls like they were perfect princesses, with the idea that they would obviously see me as their dream man. A few times I confessed to these girls that I loved them, and just wanted to make them happy, and they should be with me. My freshman year of college, a senior in my fraternity explained one-itis to me. I was taking any little kind gesture from a female and exploding it in my head, convincing myself she was the one. All over simple things like sending me in or talking to me for 10 minutes. Once I realized that this infatuation was in my head, all over something that didn't exist, I got out of that rut. I just started talking to girls like people. I don't know if I ever went full neckbeard, but I spent a few years being an embarrassingly edgy atheist. I changed my ways once I matured a bit and got tired of always being the guy with something negative to say about everybody else. I live in the deep south, so most of my friends are religious, and you know what? It helps them. They're happy and fulfilled, they have a built-in community full of support through their churches, they have strong convictions that, even if I don't always agree with, I can appreciate. I grew up and realized other people can have different views, opinions, and identities from me and still like and respect me as a person, and I can still like and respect them. I'm still not religious, but I prefer not using the title atheist as it carries a lot of neckbeard baggage. Thanks for listening to Radio TTS. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell. Click the right box for more incel videos, and let us know in the comments what you think about these stories.